Hello. In this lesson, we're going to look at the slab, boss, and the rib commands. If you'd like to follow along, please go into your sample folder into Chapter 1 and open the file named slab, boss, and rib. When the file first opens, only the slab and the default layer are currently visible. And on the slab layer, you'll see two curves, one a polyline curve and the other one a freeform curve. We're going to go ahead and apply the slab command to these. What the slab command does is basically allows you to build walls out of your curve data. You can see we have these new tabs across the top. And if we go into the solid tab, what this does is it eliminates all the other tools that are available and just presents you with all of the solid working tools. And you can see here down at the bottom, just a little easier to find is the extrude solid menu. So the slab command is this icon right here, and we'll just go ahead and click on that. And the command line asks us to choose a curve to slab. So we'll choose this one. And you can see that it's asking us to choose a side to offset. So it's somewhat like the offset curve command. We'll go ahead and apply this just to this side here. And as soon as I click, the display changes. And now you can see that this has some thickness to it. And I can just drag up, or I can type a distance for this to create this shape. So right away we built a poly surface. It has thickness to it. As I said, this is a great way to go ahead and build some walls. Let's do the same thing, reapply the slab command. And this time, instead of selecting a side, we're going to choose both sides. And you can see the little cursor changes. And let me change that distance to a 2. Make that a little easier to see. So as you see, the cursor is indicating that we're going to be now going on both sides of this line. And I can just click as before, and I'll come up and I'll snap to that endpoint. That way we know we have these built the same height. So slab command is a nice fast way for us to create our slab surfaces. Let's select these objects and we'll go ahead and put those on the slab layer. So I have them selected. I'll right click on the layer name slab and I'll do a change object layer. We just switch that layer off. Let's go ahead and switch on the boss layer. And what the boss command does is it allows us to take closed curves. Let me just go ahead and select this and do a Control X to cut it. So we have closed curve shapes. And it allows us to create bosses in our designs. And a boss is typically something that's going to add some strength or be an area inside a model or inside a product that's going to hold a screw or hold a part in place, maybe hold a motor in place, something of that nature. So the icon for boss is this icon right here. And as soon as we click on it, the command line is asking us to choose a planar closed curve to boss. And it does have to be closed and it does have to be a planar curve. So if you're clicking on a curve and it won't select it, it'll tell you that it needs to be planar or that it needs to be a closed curve. I'll hit enter and now it asks me to choose a boundary and we want to extrude it down to this surface here. So I'll just click that surface and you can see right away it's built a nice boss through that surface for me. So if I select this poly surface and come down here and choose my show edges command. Right now it's showing all edges, but if I switch to naked edges, you can see nothing is showing. This little bit of blue is just the curve that's left over. So it's made a solid object for us. Let's go ahead and apply that command again. We'll take this curve this time. And we'll do a boss. Select the boundary. And there we have that. Let me undo that one. Control Z. We're going to apply the same command. This time I'm going to change the mode. I'll give that a draft angle. Let's give that a draft angle of say 10 and see how that works. Now when I select a boundary, you can see that it's gone ahead and added some draft or an angle to the extruded piece in there. So that's pretty powerful and it saves us a lot of time building shapes. Let's go ahead and look at another very powerful command, and that's the rib command. The rib command is a little different in that you don't need a closed curve. You can have an open curve and you can have just single curves actually. So let me go ahead and apply the rib command to this curve. The rib command works very similar to the boss command. The main difference is it's almost like putting a slab into your surface. And I'll show you what I mean when I click on here. Remember when we used the curve and we built the walls, we're essentially doing the same thing here. So you can still see the red curve here. Let me just delete that. But now we've gone ahead and added this walled area, and it's become part of this object all in one step. And I can apply that to this curve as well. I can change the distance, so I'll make that a 2, let's say. You can also do curves going in this direction to make a curved rib. And that works just a little bit differently. We'll select this object. We'll select the boundary. And you can see that that didn't work. What that's doing is it's going the same direction as the curve. So if we undo this, we'll apply the command again. This time we'll change the offset from in curve plane to normal to curve plane. Basically what it does is it extrudes that shape, the distance we've given it in both directions, and then it extrudes down, and then it booleans down right into the boundary object. And we can do that same thing for this item here. Now that time it didn't work because I needed to switch projection type around. So I'll do a Control-Z to undo that. Apply the command again, change that to offset in curve plane. And now you can see it's built that for us. This will also work if the curve extends beyond the surface. Even though the origin curve extends beyond our boundaries, it's smart enough to figure out that you want the actual part to be here. Let's go ahead and bring back our slab layer. And we'll do some ribs in here as well. And this one you can see went up in the wrong direction, so we really do need to change the plane on that one. Because that's a planar curve, it wants to work normal to our construction plane. So we need to be a little cleverer with it. We'll set it to normal to curve plane, and we'll click here. So it goes ahead and it adds that rib in there for us. Same with this one. And the same with this curve over here. Now if you'll notice, this actually didn't attach all the way. Let me undo that and show you why. When I clicked in here, it's going normal to wherever I click. So because I clicked here, it actually extruded in that direction and missed this portion. So let me go ahead and click again, only this time I'll click straight back. It's gone normal to that curve where I clicked. It's added that rib right where I wanted it. The slab, rib, and boss commands are very handy commands. You can also use them to build things as well. They don't have to be commands that are used just on the inside of products. They work very nicely for actually building data and actually creating parts. But their primary purpose is to do interior detailing of parts. And that concludes our look at the slab, boss, and rib commands.